Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video so far. I wanted to emphasize at this point that this is my personal opinion, not necessarily associated with any other person or organization. My experience with the Surface has been very, very positive so far. I really like Windows 8 RT. And I like Microsoft Office, which was included with the Surface in the Student Home Edition. And I'm still enamored with it to a large extent. I do plan on using the Surface, but I also plan to continue using Windows 7 on my other computers, at least for the near future. Windows 7's capabilities, including the software on Windows 7 that's not yet available on Windows 8 or Windows RT, is a compelling reason for me to stay with Windows 7 on those other computers, but I still want to move ahead with Windows 8. When you get on the internet, you're basically open to people from all over the world. Some care about you, some don't. Some come from hostile sources such as terrorist organizations or basically groups supported by countries hostile to the United States who would love to see the United States fall. And this is something to be concerned about. Basically, it's like putting yourself on the doorstep of all of these organizations, and you need to make sure your computer is as secure as you can, especially if you use sources like online banking or have private information on the computer that people could use against you if they got their hands on it. Identity theft is, of course, a key issue to concern yourself with. And I haven't seen much about security for the Microsoft Surface or Windows 8 yet. I'm sure it's coming, but so far all I've seen is Windows Defender on the Surface. And you need to think about that a lot before you commit, especially if you have something to lose. I enjoy learning about new things in the computer field, and this last week I've really enjoyed my experience of learning about the Surface, learning about Windows 8 and Windows RT, and using it. It does take time though to do all of this learning, and that's one thing you need to factor in. It can also take money if you want to, say, hire someone to teach you, attend a regular course or something like that, as opposed to just trying to buy a book, which of course costs money too. So you need to think about what kind of learning curve investment you're going to make when you get your new system. I'm a fan of the Stargate SG-1 series on television, nice science fiction show. But one of the things that intrigued me about it is the idea that you could have spacecraft and technology that are millions of years old, and you go out and basically find one of these things like buried on the moon and hit the on switch and it comes alive. Everything's working just fine a million years later after it was built. And I'd like to see our computer technology move in that direction as well, where when I buy something like a computer, it's a lot like buying something like a car. I find it to be very reliable from the start. There could be issues with it, but there's a support system in place for me. And basically, I purchase the car and keep it for 10 years or even longer before I feel there's a need to trade it in. I'd like to see the same thing eventually happen with computers. And things are, well, as I see it, computer technology is still maturing, but it's not moving nearly as fast as it used to in some regards. In other regards, it is moving faster. So I would like to see the consumer world slow down a bit in how frequently the new machines are coming out. Just something for you to think about. I really like Microsoft as a corporation, and I've worked for it, and I've dealt with it for decades now. And I like the people who work there too. But it is a corporation, and like all corporations, its first purpose is to make money for its shareholders. Consequently, there is a tendency, I believe, to try to lock you into their ecosystem, to build a dependency of the users on Microsoft to the point where they keep on buying Microsoft products year after year after year. And I think that's part of the reason why Windows is coming out so often, every 3 years. It gives their whole ecosystem a new boost whenever they do that. That's great for Microsoft, but not necessarily great for the users. Windows 8, for example, and the Surface are really neat, but I view them as evolutionary steps, not revolutionary steps in the development of the computers. And many of the capabilities I find in the Surface I already have under Windows 7, just in a different form. I find the human interface to be vastly improved under the Surface than Windows 8. And I think that's one of the greatest strides. So it is something for you to consider too when you move forward with technology like this. The ecosystem is something that you are locking into, especially when you start to build things like documents and reports and PowerPoint decks and the like that you depend upon, and that will lock you in through your legacy to the Microsoft ecosystem and their products and services. Something to consider. One last thing I wanted to bring up in the issues section is compulsion. Do you really have a compelling reason to switch? In my case, I'm retired, I have time to do things other than work, and I don't worry so much about my future these days. So I'm doing things like looking into Windows 8 and the Surface for the sheer fun of it. It's interesting, the ideas are certainly innovative in a lot of ways, and I'm compelled to do things just for fun. But when you migrate, you need to consider carefully why you're migrating, why you want to move to Windows 8 from Windows 7 or some other platform. A good way to do that is to simply list what you use a computer for. What are its capabilities that appeal to you? And then look at the capabilities of the new system and see that all of your existing capabilities are met and what new capabilities it brings to bear that you might take advantage of. When you start to find new capabilities on top of your existing capabilities in the new machine that really excite you, you're starting to become compelled to make a switch like that. But you should carefully consider it before just jumping in from a business sense. Now, from a personal sense, if you're just excited about computers and you enjoy things like I do, basically do it for the fun. Life is too short not to enjoy it as you go. So I hope you found this video to be interesting, and I wish you all the best. Take care.